Welcome friends to another r/malicious compliance video. If making people happy is what you seek, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. That said, our first story is by Dark909911, just a little height difference. I can remember this event clearly. The family laughed about this for years. The year was 1985. Dad just brought home a brand new car, a 1985 Caprice Classic. Mom and Dad picked it out together weeks ago, and he just picked it up from the dealership. We went for a drive so they could show off the new car to us kids and some closer friends who were excited for my parents. Dad had an old half-ton he drove to work and back, so the car was left with Mom most days. Some days she drove it, but others she didn't need to go anywhere, so it sat in the driveway. Now here I'll mention there's a huge height difference between Mom and Dad. Dad was roughly 6'5" and Mom was roughly 5'2". Needless to say, the driver's seat needed to be moved for each of them. Dad got petty one day and pulled one of his little pranks on Mom. He took the car to work one day, which was not unusual if he didn't feel like driving his truck. While he had it at work, he welded the driver's seat where he felt comfortable and never said a thing to Mom. Probably 2 or 3 days later, Mom had to go to a doctor appointment or something like that. When she got in the car, she tried adjusting the seat, but it never budged. She comes in the house and asked me to go look to see if I can figure out what was wrong. As soon as I look at the track where the seat should slide, I see the weld, and I pointed that out to Mom. When Mom got mad, she always looked like she just ate 30 lemons and she just gets quiet. When she went quiet when I was a kid, I knew it was about to go down. She went into her bedroom and grabbed pillows to put behind her so she reached the pedals. By the time she got to the appointment, she had the most sour look on her face. We left the appointment and I thought we would be heading home, but we started in a different direction. I didn't dare ask where. I just sat back for the ride and shut my mouth. After a few kilometers, I realized we were heading to Uncle Ernie's place. This is where we brought Dad's work truck to get fixed and Mom's uncle. Mom got out of the car and showed Uncle Ernie where Dad welded the seat all the way back. He kind of giggled and asked what she wanted him to do about it. Mom told him to cut off the gas and brake pedals and weld something on them so her feet can reach the pedals with the seat all the way back. After some time, measurements and welding, it was done and we went home. It wasn't until the next night when Dad was heading to the Legion like he did most nights. Within a minute, he came bursting through the door, ripping about the pedals. Mom just looked at him with a look of amusement, which made him angrier. He asked her where she got the idea to mess around with the brand new car. Again, with the same look as before, she answered, "If you didn't weld the seat to your position, but I drive the car more and can't reach the pedals, what am I supposed to do? Now, if you want to take your truck tonight, you can take the car tomorrow and remove the welding from the seat first, so it moves right, then you can take the extensions off the pedals." That's exactly what he did too. Did you think he would learn his lesson? Not my dad. He always said, "I am not stubborn and I will fight to the death to prove it." Let me ask you guys, if every time you needed to drive your car, you had to adjust the seat again, would it get to a point where it was just too annoying for you to do? Every single day I've got to adjust this car seat. Or is something as menial as adjusting the car seat before you drive something that you're okay with or something that you can get over? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Pakui7, DMV Compliance. A couple years ago, I had to renew my driver's license and there were new requirements regarding proof of physical address. The problem for me was that most of my bills go to my P.O. box, the rest are billed online. However, my auto insurance policy lists my garage address, so I thought that would be good. And I changed my address in payroll, so that would work as second and final proof. Well, when I got through the line at the DMV, after waiting a long time, and handed my paperwork to the clerk, she tells me that the insurance policy isn't acceptable. Crap. I ask her to go over with me what she can accept. Well, one item is my car registration, so I ask her if she's able to process a change of address for my registration while I'm at her window. Yes, she says. So, I fill out my physical address on the form, hand it back to her, and she processes it. A minute later, she gives me a new copy of my registration. Now I ask her if we can restart my license renewal. She uncomfortably laughs a little bit and says she thinks maybe not. She calls her manager over, who says in a world-weary, frustrated tone, "OP's documents are in order. We just had another training on this, so if they thought this was important, I'm sure they'd have made a rule about it." I get my renewal and leave. I can put anything I like for my address in payroll, and what I wrote on the address change form was unverifiable by the clerk. We all could see how silly this was. Don't hate the player or hate the game. Only problem here was OP was able to change it right there, and there's no verification process or anything where that has to mail to that address or anything, I guess. So, nothing you can really do. This next story is by Gore Wraith. Sorry, you're past the return date. Several years ago, I was the manager of one location for a national furniture retailer. We had people come in all the time for our sales and deals. We were always running one. As the manager, I also had the ability to take off a little extra. Depending on the items, I might even take an additional 25% off after the sales price. Way more if the item was something other than furniture. It was not possible on everything, but I knew my leeway and when to use it. The other thing we offered up all the time was to remove the delivery charge. So this man comes in and is working with one of my employees. He's looking for a sofa and maybe some end tables. He picks out a nice sofa and the after sale is about $4,000. End tables are another few hundred. Then he talks about how great our sale is. Apparently my employee tells him if he buys more, we might get him a better deal. This sofa is something I didn't have the ability to discount any further, as it was a loss leader and being sold well below what it could have been sold for. So this guy decides to go all out and get a new bed, kitchen table and chairs and a few other things. He's well over $10,000 at this point. So an employee sits down to ring him up and calls me over to ask about additional discounts. And I let the guy know we have a great sale and he's already getting a great discount, but I'll waive the delivery fee. He asks for a bit more and I give an extra 10%. It's all a negotiation. After the 10%, he says if we can take off a bit more, he'll be able to afford a few more things. He mentions some pretty expensive stuff along with lamps and artwork. So we figure it in and he gets free delivery and 20% off. He's out the door, scheduled delivery for 3 weeks out, and puts it all on our store credit card. Best day the employee's had in a long time. A week goes by and the guy calls to cancel the artwork and the lamps. It's not that strange for those items to get canceled. They're mostly overpriced in furniture stores anyway. I take care of it for him. Since he used the store's credit, he's paid us nothing. He won't be charged until 6 months after the delivery. Another week goes by and he's called us twice more to pare down the order. But the other manager was on duty and new to the job. We're a few days from delivery and the guy calls up to cancel everything but the sofa and tables on his order. It sucks for the sales guy, but it happens and he handles it well enough. I buy him lunch. On the phone, I tell the customer I would be happy to cancel the items he requested and I would still give him the free delivery. Never did he ask for an updated price. 6 months go by and he finally looks at his bill. I'm the one who gets the call. It's just screaming from the start. He calls me a cheat and a liar and demands his money back. He also mentions that for all the stress this is causing him, he should refund it all. I know exactly who this is and why they're calling, but I ask him to explain it to me and play dumb a bit. This guy tells me how he canceled much of his order but didn't get the discounts he was promised. He was being charged $4,500, but since he got 20% off, it should only be $3,600 and he wants us $900 plus more for messing up his credit score. Still playing a bit dumb, as if a light bulb is slowly warming up in my skull, I ask him to explain to me why he canceled all the other stuff. He then details how his plan all along was to rack up a huge bill and cancel it all, keeping the discounts. Now I drop the dumb act and lay it out for him. Sir, I see the old order, and I'm the manager that was helping you that day. It appears as if there were never any discounts on the sofa or end tables, but you did cancel several items that were highly discounted. He says, I wanted discounts on the sofa. I was promised 20% off my order. You need to credit my account. I say, as a total, you did get 20%, but not equally on each item. Then he went full diva on me. With as much as I spent, I deserve that discount, and if you don't give it to me, I'll load up on every effing thing I got and drop it in your parking lot. And fighting back a laugh, I had the privilege of telling him, correction, with what you were going to spend, you could have gotten that discount. With what you did spend, I was happy to extend free delivery to you. Additionally, you may return items within our 60-day return window, but your items were delivered well over 100 days ago. You can feel free to drop them anywhere, but that may be charged with littering. He ended the call after a stunned silence. He never called my store again. I mean, this guy was playing with fire all along. Just assuming that there would be some blanket 20% off deal. then trying to be underhanded, cancel everything, and use that 20% off on just a couple items. Well, surprise when a store that sells $4,500 sofa end tables is prepared to cover themselves in situations like that. They tried, but they ended up just making themselves look like a fool and an underhanded jerk. Our next story is by Thrashley. Turn that rap box off. I'm a house painter. I've got a good few stories, but this one always pops up, so I thought I'd share it here. I was co-running a small team during an exterior repaint in a small town. Very old people, very white people. It's day 2, and 2 of the boys were chatting away while standing out, and the neighbor pops her head over the fence. "You boys would have almost had this place done if you worked as well hard as you talked." They laugh it off. I'm mad I missed it. The next day, I'm the only person on site. Nice one. I play an electronic/dance radio station throughout the day at a reasonable volume. We're near a primary school and I'm a mother, so I like to think I'm considerate of my surroundings. It hit 4:30, the kids had all gone home, so I popped on some placid Kiwi rap at a slightly increased volume during pack-up. Let me tell you, chill rap at V15 still sounds quieter than techno at V12. My old mate next door pops her head over and yells, "Turn that rap box off." I pretended I couldn't hear her a few times, went closer, and we exchanged a few heated words. She said she didn't mind the music so much before, but she couldn't stand the volume/genre, and this wasn't how things went in this town. Funny that, I painted here for 2 years without complaint. She takes my name and the company number, doesn't call. But all in all, fair enough. Rap isn't everyone's cup of tea, I get it. Don't even stress, lady. She got a solid 20 minutes of my mate's high school death metal band instead. It was a slow pack-up. Last time I ever saw her. If they were blaring music, I could understand complaining regardless of the genre. But just because it's rap and you don't like rap, that doesn't make it okay for you to be able to pop up and say, "Turn that off." And in fact, as they learned, telling the person with the speaker to turn what they're listening to off might just result in you listening to something even worse. This next story is by Shag377, My Small Act of Malicious Compliance. Growing up, my home was one of constant malicious compliance between the parents and children. You learned rapidly to be excruciatingly precise in requests, lest you become the recipient of malicious compliance. Situation: I'm in a restaurant dining with my mother. We're in a booth, a long one, with the salt and pepper shakers on one end. Both are out of reach of my mother. Mother asks, "Can you reach the salt and pepper shakers?" The insinuation being she wanted the seasonings for her meal. I, immediately recognizing the opportunity, say, "Yeah, see?" I reached over, touched the shakers, and went back to my meal. I think she hit me with a french fry before I acquiesced to her request, sans malicious compliance. I love the top comment on this post by Virgil Reality. It says, "My wife says, 'Scratch my back, please.' Then me scratching says, 'Right here?' She says, 'No, lower.' So I say, 'Right here?' And our final story of the day is by Z Ultima Z. Continue riding the jet ski with the fuel cap off? Okie dokie. Back in 2010, a few coworkers and I went to South Padre Island in Texas during spring break. After a night of partying at a Girls Gone Wild event, we all decided to take it easy the next day. We rented jet skis for an hour, and I provided a security deposit in case of damages. Afterwards, we calmly followed the tour guide out to the sea. Once we were about a mile out, the guide gave us the thumbs up to start tearing it up. For the next half hour or so, I was freestyling, speeding down the water lane, and riding in circles. It was a blast, up until I noticed the fuel cap was missing. It must have loosened and fallen off. Afraid that I may have to turn around and possibly lose my security deposit, I slowly rode up to the tour guide and pointed out that the fuel cap was missing. The guide had a confused look on his face, like this issue had never occurred in his presence before. I believe he was contemplating whether to round up the guys, have everyone go back to the base and ruin their fun, or just let everyone complete the remainder of the last half hour. Well, I guess he thought it was going to be troublesome to head back to the base, so he told me not to worry about it and go enjoy the rest of my time. Beyond disbelief, I asked him if it was going to be okay for salt water to get into the fuel tank of the jet ski, and he said it was fine. With that being said, I teared it up again. Upon returning to the base, as soon as I was about 1,000 feet from the dock, the jet ski started to gargle, and it wasn't accelerating properly. At this point, I knew the jet ski was damaged, and sure enough, the motor died, and I slowly drifted to the dock. I got off and handed the keys to one of the employees. As I walked up to the cashier to pick up my security deposit, the employee came up to me and told me that the jet ski was damaged and that I needed to pay for it. I explained the situation to him, and surprisingly, the tour guide owned up to it and validated my story. I took the security deposit back and walked away. I don't know if the tour guide was given a verbal warning or terminated, but I had other priorities on my mind. I used the security deposit to buy more alcohol to start the night off again. Considering the start and ending of the story, it's pretty clear all throughout that OP had some clear priorities going on. That said, yeah, this is all on the tour guide's hands. I don't think you can even remotely begin to pretend to feel bad for him when they saw there was a missing fuel cap. They knew that driving a jet ski around with no fuel cap meant water was going to get into the tank, and okayed it. They don't really deserve that job after making a mistake like that, do they? But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel, and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.